Call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Simmons. Councilmember Hudson.
Here.
Councilmember McKenzie. Here. Vice Mayor Butticavoli. Here. Mayor Samayoa.
Here. Just for the public to know and be on record, this is the special meeting of the City Council today, Tuesday, March 10th, 2020, 6 p.m. We have one item. The recommendation is to pass a motion to establish an underground utility district. Mr. Wright, no, Mr. Platt. I didn't see Mr. Wright.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I hate to say this, but this is really a house cleaning action, is to form this underground utility district, which protects about $2.6 million in PG&E funding to the city that's been collecting, I believe Marty put some numbers to it, about 52 years. So for a long time, the city's actually never taken advantage of it. Under the city's municipal code, and I believe it was somewhere around 80 that it was put in the code to actually allow the formation of an underground utility district. Nowhere could we find if that was actually ever done. And the only underground district that we're aware of as far as went underground is the very northeast side of Susanville, which is the last couple residential tracts that actually went in the city. Those are actually all installed underground. So we got notice of this about the time I got here and reached out to and found the liaison for PG&E, which was Keith Bask. And subsequently, the emails and everything I was working with, he kind of disappeared somewhere in the end of January. And Liz Burris picked that up in the end of, right about the middle of February, and reached out to us and said that he had basically retired, and she was then appointed as the liaison that we were working with to try to stop this process. So about a year ago, the Public Service Commission actually put a finding out there and directive for PG&E to take cities that have not been using these funds and reallocate them. They don't cost us anything. It's a mechanism to take an area of public interest that I've used before is actually around schools, where we've dropped the overhead to underground around public schools. It's around public infrastructure and things that serves a public benefit. And so she looked at the areas and the areas that we had given her, which actually was the schools. And she suggested Highway 70. It came up on the B Street property. So we sent that information to her, and she said the whole section there qualifies. So the point of this is to form the district. It's changeable. We can modify it. We can do anything we want after the fact. This is strictly to stop the reallocation of city funds to another city, which was mandated by the PUC to be in place by tomorrow. So long as the district is formed, the funds don't get reallocated, and then we can redefine the scope or the project at any time after the district is formed. So it doesn't lock us into absolutely anything other than it stops the reallocation of those funds.
Okay, any questions?
Just by forming the district, which is what we're going to approve tonight. I'm sorry?
Theoretically.
Just by
Forming the underground district.
we're going to approve tonight, we won't lose the funds.
Yes, and so they sent us a template of the resolution and things that were required. We did some modification to it. I sent it all back to her with the staff report. And so that's where we're at. So we will forward this to her tomorrow after the mayor signs it, and
Blue pen.
we'll stop the process.
Is there any strings
Yes.
involved with this? There's no strings, is there?
No,
No strings at all?
Yes, that's right here. You were guiding me. Thank you.
no, if it was B, 20B or 20C, there's a lot more costs associated with the city, but we're actually Rule 20A, which is actually a lot more beneficial to us as far as cost and impact. So we have costs, obviously, working on projects, working with PG&E, but they do the engineering, they do design. We would just have to work with the actually the other utilities to give notice of this district being formed. So we kept it very defined and small at this point, which is basically a block. The cost of this under PG&E's rules is very expensive, so it doesn't go as far as you would like it to go, but it obviously is a great tool, and obviously with $2.6 million, it would be a shame to have it they wouldn't take it all, but they'll take a large portion of it, and at $1,200 a foot, and I've seen $1,200 to $1,400 a foot. It depends on obviously where you're at. I think Yuba City used a $1,400 and something a foot when they did Fifth Street and the bridge project, because they formed a district there to do exactly the same thing.
Thank you.
All right.
So with that, we need to open a public hearing.
Okay.
Is there a time frame that has to get started or completed?
No.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. Seeing no public members for this hearing, we'll close it.
Come on, Alex, you can say something.
So let's entertain a motion to adopt resolution to establish an underground utilities district as described in their memo, and to authorize the city manager or her designee to execute the agreement with the involved parties to facilitate the undergrounding of existing overhead utilities in that underground utility district. There's a motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's approved, the vote of 4-0. With that, we'll adjourn to our next meeting. It's a regular meeting of the City Council on March 17th, 2026 p.m.